Welcome to Flightography, beautiful subscribers and all new viewers. I'm Chris. It's winter, and it's been oppressively cold and snowy, overcast for about 2 weeks now, and I've been distracted by that very fact. Coupled, unfortunately, with a visitation from my old nemesis, the teeter-totter, between pre-visualization and the decisive moment. Yeah, the Adams-Weston-Bresson conundrum. This landscape in the winter can be very demanding. It makes it very difficult to compose compelling photographs when you're distracted by all the bleakness and the lack of color, luminosity. There is no shortfall of contrast, but that can become tiresome. It's at moments like this that I practice what I call the A-B squat. Have a look at a few of these photographs I obtained this past week, and I'll meet you outside and I'll show you what I mean. Well, as you can see, right there in center frame, with the extended foreground, is a row of harvested, cut corn stalks, shaped somewhat like pipe organs or a pan flute. At least, that's my perception. The reason you can't see me in frame is because I was doing the diddly squat. I'll demonstrate it here for you now. When conditions are like this, and the horizon disappears without an elegant or a majestic element, I eliminate it entirely. That's why I call it the A-B squat, aka the diddly squat. It's both acute and blatant. I eliminate the horizon, or as much of it as possible. Now, if you look carefully, you'll see the pipe organ corn stalks with this extended foreground, and that ash tree there, somewhat symmetrical. I think it's going to make a rather striking, possibly a time exposure. We're going to try it several ways. Don't laugh at me for my snow blindness goggles. They really do work. Somewhat uncomfortable, but effective. I'm using the 70 to 350 Sony G. That starts me at 4.5, which is okay because we're in very bright conditions today. And I'm going to expose somewhat to the right. Just let me get down there. And we'll show you what I mean. Now we can see over here we have a distracting element, that elm tree. I want just the one tree and the tree line in focus. And I want to play a little juxtapositioning. We'll try one right there, like that. And as I said before, photograph to eliminate the horizon. Well, as you can undoubtedly tell, the weather has altered again. In comes another squall there. It's moving this way towards me pretty quick. So, what better time than to describe the difference between the Weston Ansel Adams approach of f/64 and pre-visualization opposed to Bresson, decisive moment. So what I really wanted when I came out here, it was snowing earlier quite heavily, so I wanted those nice white streaks in this image to contrast against the snow on the ground in the foreground. And it looks like I may get that if I just wait patiently a little longer here in my squat. And we'll take a look now. I've got this abandoned farmstead over here with a bunch of outbuildings. It's being, all that land, the fence rows are being cleared this winter, so I assume new purchasers or soybeans and corn are worth a lot more money, and this guy's putting in the extra dough to clear 300 or 400 acres, I don't know. It makes for interesting photographs, quite compelling in that sort of hinterland urban fringe style I seem to be drawn to. Now, as I said before, it's quite bright, so I'm quite a ways shut down. I'm trying to stay around f6 to f6.3, f7. Let's go with about a 250 today. I'm in the wrong picture profile. I was just shooting video to show you the difference. There we go. Okay, and so now I have super large corn stalks in the foreground, a limited sky, gloomy, and the farmstead in the back. And I think that is going to work quite well. I've got corn stalks on both of the two lower thirds, somewhat symmetrical, and the farmstead in the upper third. There we go. Now, of course, what that does is emphasizes the distance between built structures out here in the agricultural hinterland. Huge barren fields, and believe it or not, in foul weather, you wouldn't be able to make it across one of these farms without perishing. Some of them are quite large. I prefer to have depth, and some objects out of focus and others in focus in my photographs. The wind's picking up. These are starting to get a little frigid now. Okay, we've got a hike back, so I think I'm going to head back inside, and we'll have a little bit more of a chat about f/64 versus f/8, the two opposing schools. f/8 and B there, of course, would be the decisive moment. f/64 would be the pre-visualization. I happen to utilize both, sometimes even at the same time. Oh yeah, it's cold all right. Last minute booking for the weekend here. Good financially, but it required a step to itness that I wasn't prepared for. I had to clear all this snow for the fire pit. It was a special request. It's about 2 feet deep. Had to fiddle with my snowblower. Gosh, I guess it must be 10 years old now. It's might be on its last legs. I don't like that. Reminded me of a quote from none other than Weston himself. Nothing photogenic is more than 500 feet from a car. That's not verbatim, but that's the sense of what he was saying. And yet, later that day at a cocktail party, he said that without pre-visualization, no truly authentic photographic art can be created. Is that not a contradiction? I think so. Ansel Adams, the master, spent as much, if not more time in the darkroom dodging and burning than he did in the field surveying the landscape he was photographing. This is true. They're contradictions, and that is what art is, a contradiction, the first language, right? Pre-visualization is, of course, necessary, but in terms of the decisive moment, that is up to you, and so you can do both at the same time. For example, film and photography for me are nearly identical.
Film, of course, gives you the opportunity for extended narrative. But any good filmmaker will do more with the images than he's with the dialogue. And this is a fact. Look at all the masters. Is this not a combination of decisive moment and pre-visualization? I think so. An example, I'm sitting here below the ground level in terms of a bird that would be landing on this snow. So I'll have a nice ground level view, perhaps of a cardinal, a blue jay, that yellow-bellied sapsucker or the flicker that have been hanging around my feeder, nuthatches, towhees, juncos, nameless sparrows. That's the pre-visualization component. The decisive moment will be me when that bird lands in front of me, which it inevitably will, comprising the decisive moment, executing my pre-visualization. The distinction is moot. Wind is picking up. We're in between storms. A great deal of this just came in the last 28 hours, and beginning about 5 o'clock, we're going to see more, and it should last about a day and a half. Another 2 feet. I hope my snowblower makes it through. Both feeders are stocked. There's a feeder right behind me and somewhat hidden. They can't see me from the other one, so as I stalk through my trenches, I'll probably show you an aerial view of, those are the blue jays. I'll likely show you an aerial view of this trench system I have throughout the property. Well, not throughout the entire property, but to access the fire pit, the recycling and the garbage, a trail to the road, a trail to the other feeder, a trail to the propane tanks, the wood pile, that sort of thing. It's a never-ending battle out here with the elements. Somehow, when I have to do this, I prefer the grass. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed these squatting images. One of the techniques you can use when you get into these oppressive gray sky days, or weeks, or months, if you're a Canadian or anyone living above the 45th parallel. Another technique is to utilize that big, huge gray box as a backdrop to striking colors. Often, looking up. Maybe I'll do some of that next week. I'll let you know. Keep at it. Shutterbugs. Ciao.